DC the 51st state. Ironically, Holmes Norton introduced it, she couldn't vote yes on it. So, that's a conundrum in and of itself. So DC, the House voted to support for the very first time. And now it's moved on to the 51st state. Ironically, so our medical market, like I said before, it's gotten rather robust. And it's a market very similar, in terms of levity, or not necessarily levity, but the ability to be kind of, casting a wide net and not making it too cumbersome to get involved with and as a patient. So possession of up to 2 ounces at any one time. They're allowed to cultivate. This is not restricted to medical patients, by the way. It's not just medical patients who can cultivate. Any adult under the age of 21 can cultivate cannabis. That was passed under Initiative 71 in 2014. And I'll discuss the specifics of cultivation in just a slide or two. And then reciprocity. This is something that you're seeing more and more states do, which is it allows for a person who's a patient, registered patient, in a equivalent medical marijuana market program, that might be in DC, they might be a college student, they might be visiting, they're allowed to go into a medical marijuana dispensary here in the city and purchase cannabis, as long as they are from a state that has an equivalent market. So somebody from Massachusetts, somebody from Illinois, a state that has a relatively loose market. Georgia, for instance, we do not allow Georgia patients to come in and purchase cannabis because flower is not legal in Georgia. There's a THC cap on the Georgia market. So, it has to be an equivalent state. It's 20 some states that DC recognizes as equivalent. So DC, when I talk about it being loose, it's because our qualifying conditions list, well, we don't really have a list. It's any condition for which treatment with medical marijuana would be beneficial. When a physician says it would be beneficial. So a lot of states have a list. That list can be long or short. Ones that are common are, glaucoma, or sometimes anxiety disorders, or some eating disorders, things like that. But DC allows for any condition that a physician says a person might be helped if they could access medical cannabis. So cultivation, as I mentioned before, it's not just restricted to medical patients. Anybody can cultivate. There's no registry. You don't have to say that you're growing cannabis on your private property. You can just do it. An adult is allowed to have up to 6 plants at a time, 12 plants in a household. So if you have 2 adults in a DC household, you're allowed to have 12 plants in that household cap. Half of those plants can be flowering or mature at any one time. So if you have 12 plants, you can only have 6 flowering plants at one time in a household. So as of June 18th, 2020, there were a little over 7,000 patients in the medical marijuana program in Washington, D.C. And there is a purchase limit of 4 ounces per 30-day period. So you're allowed to have 2 ounces on your person at any one time, but you are allowed to purchase up to 4 ounces any 30-day period. So the adult use market. This is where it gets weird because we are, like I said, not a state. And because DC overwhelmingly supports legalization, we, want to see the market thriving. And so now we have the illicit market. It is thriving. This weird gray area that the adult use market is in means that there's a lack of regulation, and it means that, safety could be a concern, not safety and violent crime or anything like that, more like making sure that you're getting what you are supposed to be getting, when you purchase cannabis off somebody who might be operating in the illicit market. So with this gray area, it is legal to possess up to 2 ounces at a time, same as a medical patient. Cultivation, again, not limited to medical patients. So you are allowed to have up to 12 plants per household as long as you have more than 1 adult in that household. Public consumption is a misdemeanor, which punishable with a citation, no fine. The problem with that is that it's not necessarily enforced in that manner. It's enforced, it's over-enforced, it's over-policed in specific communities. DC, just because we're Chocolate City, does not make us immune to the